My name is Emilia Brown, and I'm here with Jeremy Robinson directly from Workforce Services. Today is May 30th, 2019. I'm saying the date because the rules and regulations about Medicaid all the time are changing, but at this moment, this will apply for how to fill the Medicaid forms. You can do it online. You need to go to medicaid.utah.gov, and here's the link. But we're going to talk today about the Medicaid, the forms in paper. Here's medical applications, and this is the one in English. Let's open this one, and great. Here's the application, and Jeremy will help us to understand a little bit more about how to fill the Medicaid applications.
Okay, so if you're trying to get through this quickly, you'll just want to tear off this front page. It says application information, give it to them. You may want to note right here on the back part of that first page, here is the contact information, so where I can get more help. So if they need help filling it out or have questions about their application, they can call this number, the 866-435-7414, or they can also go online and set up a MyCase account at www.jobs.utah.gov/MyCase. They can also do that and apply for benefits and fill out the application that way. Let's just kind of get rolling real quick. Here's the application. Really important that they put their full name right here on this line and their home address. If they get their mail at their home, so that's your first name. But if they get their mail at their home, they don't need to fill out the mailing address. They just fill out that one spot. Really, we just need, on the phone numbers, we just need the best number to contact them on. They don't need to put down multiples, just whatever the best phone number is they have. Really important to mark if they speak English or not, and what their primary language is. And how they want to receive their notices, if they want it in English or Spanish. The Spanish applications are the exact same. They're just in Spanish, and we'll ask them the same thing. Moving on, here's the household information. This is pretty important. They need to list themselves first. If they're applying just for their kids, they still need to list themselves on the application. So they put their name, first name, last name. And then if they want Medicaid for themselves, this little checkbox, they can check it. If they do not want Medicaid for themselves or only care about the kids, they just they leave that blank. They just want to check the box if they're applying for Medicaid for them. If they're applying for their kids, then they'll check the box next to their kids or anybody else that they're going to apply for. Next thing is on the let's go up here. On the Social Security, if they have a Social Security number, please have them note that down. If they do not, they can leave it blank, it's fine. Have them put down their date of birth, sex, race, and ethnicity. If they have questions about that, they can come down here. Race codes, ethnicity codes, okay? Marital status, if they're a full-time student, yes or no. This one's important, Utah resident. A lot of people move here. They think they have to wait a while before they can claim that they're a Utah resident. For Medicaid, it's different. All they have to do is state that they intend on establishing their home here. So if they moved here today and stayed and turning in an application and they say, hey, I'm going to be a Utah resident, I'm going to stay here, have them check that box. If they're a U.S. citizen or a national or an eligible non-citizen, they need to check these. If they're not a citizen, if they're not a legal permanent resident and they don't have citizen status, just have them check Utah resident. Anyway, they want to keep filling out members of their family. If they don't have any kids, and if they're, say they come in and apply for pregnant woman Medicaid, that's what they're wanting, and they live with their boyfriend, you wouldn't have to list their boyfriend here until they actually have a kid in the home together. So if it's just a pregnant lady coming in, she's not married, you just put her information, you don't need to list her boyfriend. If they're married, if they're not married and they have kids, you want to put, and the boyfriend's living in the home and he's the dad of the kids, you want to list him, how he's related, if he has a social, date of birth, etc. And then same thing for the kids. If they have kids, you want to list all the kids. If there's not enough room to list all the children here, they can just put a dividing line in between one or two of these and just list all the name of the family members. Remember, the box needs to be checked for anybody who needs the Medicaid. If it's not checked, we're not going to look at Medicaid for them. Okay. Next thing is if they're a legal permanent resident or have immigration status, eligible immigration status, they need to note it here. Specifically, alien number. Just real quick, if they're a legal permanent resident but don't have over 5 years of residency, it's going to be kind of, they may not be qualified for anything but emergency Medicaid. they can still have them come talk to me if they still have questions about that. Information, just ask if they have a Medicaid card, if they need help paying for medical bills in the last 3 months. That's called retroactive Medicaid, and they'd put who in the family had medical expenses in the last 3 months and what month they need it for, or months. If they have access to COBRA, if those don't know what COBRA is, it is if they've lost a job recently within the last 60 days and their employer is still offering them to keep their health insurance coverage. Okay, if they don't have that, they just click no. Anybody at home have a major medical need. This includes cancer, kidney disease, heart disease. And you put who, and then what the medical need is. Emilia was saying that some people were told to put the Medicaid code or the medical code down there. Don't put the code. You can just put a generalized thing like heart disease or mental health needs. It doesn't have to be specific. It just kind of indicates if we need to look at disabled Medicaid for them or not. If they have any kids under the home and they're taking care of them that are under 19, if they were in foster care on or after their 18th birthday, if they have any kind of disability which causes limitations in their daily living activities. If they live in an institution, we probably won't see a lot of those. If they're pregnant, we will see a lot of those. They need to list who in the home is pregnant, the due date, or if they don't know yet, have them guess, and then we can change it later, and how many babies they're expecting, if they've used tobacco in the last 6 months. And then if they have a parent, if they have children in the home and there's an absent parent in the home, if they are willing to cooperate with Office of Recovery Services to establish a medical support. Moving on, income, super important, this one. If they're working, they need to list who in the home's working, name of the employer. They really don't need to put the address and phone number, just who they work for. They also need to note how much they make per hour right here, and well, how, if they get monthly, hourly salary, how many hours a week they work, how often they're paid, and then if they receive any tips, bonuses, commissions, or extra pay. If anybody's self-employed, they can report that right here. Name of the person, name of their company. If they don't have a company, just put kind of what they do, babysitting or handyman or something like that. The date their business started, if they're full owner of the company or not. If they don't really know, just have them put down as much information as they can, and then we'll get with them. They need to report if they expect any changes in hours or income. If they've stopped working in the last, in the last year, and then if they're receiving the following: unemployment, pension, Social Security, retirement accounts, etc. And they can just note that. It's pretty self-explanatory if they do. Deductions. Moving on, if they're working and any of these are taken out of their check, alimony, student loans, others, or if they get any pre-tax deductions like health insurance premiums, 401k, or others. This is important. The pre-tax deductions, they'll show up on their check stub, so even if they don't put anything here that they don't have any, we'll be able to tell through their check stubs. And going back to that, if you're taking an application, you could let them know that we're going to require 30 days of income. If they get paid weekly, that would be the last 4 checks. If they get paid bi-weekly or every 15 days, that would be the last 2 checks. If you get paid monthly, just the last 1 check. But you may want to note and let them know that that's what we'll need are their check stubs for the last 30 days. Okay, yearly income, if they, if their income changes from month to month, they can put how much this is. If they don't have any changes, they can just, basically they don't need to fill this out. A lot of them don't. It's not that important if they don't. Tax filer, this is important. They need to report how they file the taxes, if they file jointly, what dependents they claim, and if they're living with those dependents. So make sure that they have that one filled out. Health insurance information, this is another big one. If they're on Medicaid, CHIP, or Medicare, they can indicate it here. If they've been in an accident or an assault, they need to, in the last 12 months, they need to indicate that. They also need to indicate right here if someone is required to pay for their medical services, like workers' comp or something like that. If they're eligible for that COBRA again. and if they have any health insurance currently, or if they have insurance available but they aren't enrolled in a job or something like that. If they do have health insurance, they can fill out and note the information here. It doesn't all need to be here, just probably the name of the individuals covered, name of insurance company, the policy number and group number. Those are the most important. This one, they only need to fill these out if they're age blind or disabled, and you just kind of go through the questions. They're pretty self-explanatory. If they've applied for Social Security, if they've been determined by Social Security, etc. If they're working and still disabled, if someone helps them pay their mortgage, rent, food, bills, etc. Assets. This one is important as well. Right here is where they would report. They have a bank account. If they don't report that, and they turn in check stubs showing that they do get a direct deposit, we have to question it, and then we'll have to talk to them about it. So make sure if they have a bank account, just make sure that they list that they do and what their current balance is in the accounts. Also, they can report any 401ks and annuities, IRAs, stocks, bonds, trust funds, time certificates. Next one, if they have any land, home, tools, campers, life insurance, cemetery plots, they can indicate that here in this section. And then finally, vehicles, make, model, year, and they need to list all vehicles that are registered in their name, okay, including vehicles that they might not have in their possession. Maybe they've co-signed a loan with a cousin or something. If it's under their name, it's still their vehicle, so they need to list it here. This one, the baby or baby applications, you won't have them fill anything out on this page. That's for hospital, so have them skip that. And then here it talks about their rights and responsibilities. It's really important for them to read this and go over it. If they're feeling like they've been discriminated against, right here's the information that they can, and the contacts that they can call to get help with discrimination issues. This talks about the rights, that they're, basically stating that they're not doing anything fraudulent, and basically all their rights and responsibilities are right here on this page. This is probably the most important part of the application. It's the signature page. So they need to print their name on this line right here. And then they need to sign the one below as the applicant and put a date on it. If there's not a signature anywhere on this page, it doesn't count as a complete application. Right here, renewal will cover the future of the years. This one, it gets confusing for everybody, but basically, if they want, when we do a renewal in a year, they could opt for us to use their tax returns to verify their income. They can give us up to 5 years of permission to do that. If they don't want us to do it, they can just check don't. We can also send them a voter registration form. Anyway, give them these 2 copies. This one is their rights and responsibilities. Just tear this off and give it to them. And then their responsibilities, things that they have to report, etc. They need to read these, so just tear off these 2 pages and give it to them. This one too, changes that they have to report, tear that off, give it to them. And then that's the basic application. They only need to fill out this one if they're Native American. If not, it's fine to leave it blank. Down, attachment B, if they're claiming dependents on their taxes that don't live with them, they need to fill this out. If they're not claiming independents that aren't living in their home, then they don't need to fill this one out. Okay. And then attachment C, if they have, this one's important to fill out. If they might be qualified for CHIP, this one has to be filled out. Basically, we tear this off, give it to them, and tell them to fill it out with their employer, both the front and back, and then turn it in once it's completed. And it talks about available health insurance offered by an employer. And then if they want, to disclose any of their Medicaid information to anybody else, like a parent or even another medical provider, they need to get this filled out. This is attachment D. It's an authorization to disclose medical information. So if they want to give someone permission to talk to us about their medical case, we can't give any information without that permission, and this is how they do it. They fill out this form. Anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you.